for, that the design should be done sometime this year, and implementation of the gateway signage will begin next year, early. So, which is already in the budget.
Yeah. You know, people sometimes don't get why it takes so long, but think about it. These things are not things that we're going to be putting up for 5 and 10, 20 years. These are 50-year items. I mean, this is going to be there for 25, 30 years. So just get it right, do it right. It hurts, I know, but
But the more forethought, the better the product. So I know we received an email asking questions about our input. So that helps in the process, and you see the end result. So kudos.
okay. Hearing no further comments, I have a motion by Trustee Miller, supported by Treasurer Bud, to purchase the new sign. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes.
It will be up and running by.
I'm hopeful
Projected.
we can watch Home Alone at Thanksgiving out there on lawn chairs.
That'd be fun.
Or the football game, the Lions football game, we could watch that too.
Oh,
Cool.
okay.
All right.
All right, next item is to consider approval of the update to Section 3 eligibility of benefits and policy and procedures manual. Clerk Wright and Director Sumter. Director Sumter, we're going Clerk Wright. This is the mandatory moment when every year the state wants us to take 20% from our employees.
Oh, that's not the update.
Well, no, that's not this one?
No,
What is this one?
this is putting in place in our policy manuals the.
Oh, the
retiree
full-time,
healthcare.
yeah, okay. All right, this is the one where we basically have we used to hire temps, and now we have, is that the one?
No.
Which one is this?
Read it.
Who is it?
He'll explain.
Nicole, you're up. Number 9.
That's the one. You said it. You said it right the second time.
Second time was?
That's the temporary or full-time.
This is, yeah, we don't have a designation for temporary full-time. That's where we're at.
Ready?
Yeah.
The section that we were updating in the policy and procedures manual was 3.01 to officially add the temporary full-time position. We also wanted to include the in lieu of $500 for that temporary full-time person when they came in. It was just one item that was not included, and we wanted to make sure everybody was represented. So with that, I will take any questions.
Frazier, trustee.
Yesterday, I expressed my concern about $500 in lieu of for a temporary employee. This person could only work 6 months, maybe 3 months, depends. And they're going to get $500 a month. Is that right?
That's
500 a
correct.
month?
If they do not take the coverage, yes.
Right, if they don't take the coverage.
Right.
Okay, so, the trustees, we get $250 in lieu of if we don't take the coverage. So I think $500 is excessive. That's over $100 extra in their paycheck every week, it turns out. And it's not against the employees, but they're temporary. If this was full-time and
The
they were
idea-
getting full-time, the idea is that temporary will turn into full-time for these people, I understand.
Eventually,
Okay,
yes.
I'd like to respond to that because,
Okay.
because this was discussed like 3 years ago when we first started our board meetings. The idea of giving employees $500 was to keep them out of the $9,000, $15,000, $18,000 fringe benefit package they get. Once they hit the 30 hours, the Obamacare kicks in, then we've got to give them health care. They're now into $14,000, I think, on average for health care. So the idea is to give them $500 instead of that. As for the trustees getting the $250, this board, it was my recommendation that you take the $500 You guys are the ones that reverted to the 250 years ago. If you ever want to revisit that, I would be happy to not pay health care and pay 500 instead, because health care is very, very expensive. It just makes sense to get people off our health care system. So that's what this is about. Trustee Miller, then White.
So would a contractor, what's the difference between a temporary and a contractor?
The contractor is not an employee. They work when they want to work. They don't have a schedule set by us. They're 1099. We don't pay their taxes. We don't pay their insurance. But the temporary full-time person, because that's how they're brought in, not through a temp service, we pay everything for them.
So why is this, why are they temporary?
Because in this particular department, it's for a season, which is, I'll just say it is for the elections. And usually he hires a full-time person to cover that during this time. And this year he got hit with more than one election that's coming up. Some things popped up and they need coverage for it. In addition, we had a couple of people that were out on medical leaves that had to be covered as well. So that's how we got the temporary full-time person. However, I want to mention she's not the first one.
Exactly, okay.
And no one, that particular classification has never been represented.
Trustee White.
If we go back to 2016 during the election, every trustee was given health care insurance or payment in lieu of. But when I won the election in 2016, the decision was made that we would eliminate health care for trustees and eliminate payment in lieu of. And the motion was formed where this would take effect in November 2020 on the next date. So
Actually, we could have that debate at a work study. I would argue that, but on the other side is, we're discussing the employee policy for full-time temps.
and I
So if
understand
you
that.
want to have a work study on that, I'd be happy to have it.
But I understand what we're discussing, but it was brought up about the trustees and the payment in lieu of.
Because
so-
it keeps
so-
on
so-
coming
so-
up, and
so-
I don't
so-
think people remember where it came from.
Once it was brought up, then that it opens the floor. And yes, we can have a discussion on that, but I do not think that 4 trustees sitting here will just randomly give up money that they're entitled to, payment in lieu of, or insurance if they choose to take insurance.
I never
It's
said
been
that.
historical that they've taken it. If they want to give it up,
Okay,
they'll give it up.
do you have any comments on the full-time temporary?
I'm temporary. Well, I stated those comments yesterday at the work
Okay.
study. And I don't think we should hire full-time temporary. We should hire 28-hour part-timers and not worry about paying health care, insurance, or benefits. And I understand that it would be, we can hire 2 28-hour employees.
Or
a whole lot-
29.
Well, or 20 or 29, much cheaper than we can hire one at 40 and pay them the benefits and everything else.
Is there anybody, 1 second, we have to go once around before I go for the second time around. Is there anybody else that wants to make comment on this? Hearing none, we'll go into the second round. Frazier, Trustee Frazier.
I think Trustee White makes a good point, that the difference between part-time and temporary full-time is 1 hour. So we could hire 2 individuals at 29 hours each, and we could get a look at 2 individuals rather than just 1 individual that could be potential employees down the line. And we wouldn't have to worry about paying health care or in lieu of. So to me, I'm supposed to watch out for the residents' money, and to me, that is just good fiscal responsibility that we should be doing rather than hiring full-time temporary. We're giving a full-time temporary $6,000 more in wages if they stay with us for a year. And I think that's, unreasonable. But That's just my opinion. I want to be cost-effective for the residents, and I think hiring two 29-hour people would be more cost-effective. We could get a look at two individuals and see if they are potential employees for our township, rather than just hiring one person and giving them health care or in lieu of, and just having that one person on the job.
Thank you. Clerk Wright?
I wasn't gonna say anything, but you guys forced me to. So, I mean, we had plenty of conversation over this last night, but I can't help but explain myself again. It's the trustee's responsibility to be fiduciary members of the board, and you set the budget, and we've done that through budget hearing. We just had our budget public hearing tonight. It's my job to run the clerk's office. And my initiative to run the clerk office, that instead of hiring two part-time individuals, I'm hiring one temporary full-time. And that's the way I see that's the fiscal responsible for running my office. And that's the way I see the best way to do the work and get them trained in my office. And that's the way I see the best equip my office for ongoing concessions and maybe possible retirements that's may happen in my office. It's my responsibility to run the clerk office, and I talked to this, I brought this forth beforehand. I explained what was the need behind it, why we did it. In 2016, during the last election, not 2016, but 2017, I hired 3 individuals, 2 part-time, 1 full-time temporary employee. We paid that individual for full-time benefits because he elected to. If you hire someone over 30 hours, they have the right to receive benefits. The only thing that we're doing with the policy is putting that language in the policy, because once they are deemed full-time, they have the same rights as any other full-time employee. And if you don't recognize those rights, you're violating the federal government's mandate. That's the only thing we add into the policy, so that what was silent in the policy now is being shown that it's there. And the Treasury Board brought it to my attention, and I agree that it need to be put in the policy so it can be shown. That's the only thing. It has no name behind it. It has no issue. This person, if I was asked, probably would, in order to keep the job, probably wouldn't even take the insurance, period. It's the principle behind that nature. It's not who it is or what they should do or who are trying to tell me what to do, how to run my department. It's the principle behind is that if they work full-time, they're entitled to insurance or in lieu of, and that's the bottom line. So it's still full-time. Temporary can be a year, it can be 2 years, it can be 3 years, it don't matter. Temporary, it's just they're not permanent.
Okay. It's all set.
That's it.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Trustee White?
Clerk, I certainly appreciate your input on this. I came from a business, a very, very competitive business company that was where we did have unions, and I understand the business prospects of PODC: plan, organize, direct, and control. And there's many ways that we could save money in this township if we would approach our government like a business. Our revenue comes from our residents. I don't care if it's a grant, comes from Washington, comes from Wayne County, comes from the state of Michigan. Every penny that lays on this table comes from our residents in one form or another. We need to do everything possible to do what we can do to make residents 100% beneficial from every penny that we spend. I see lots of waste that goes across this board. I don't want to get into the gutter with it. And I see lots of ways that we could save money. I think that we need to take more of a business approach, because this is a business, but it's a public business. And politics aside, then once we're elected, we have to become business people to run this business of $17 million a year. I think the budget is someplace close to that. Run the services for the township. and all apportionments that are equal to that, to take care of our residents. That's our primary goal, to give our residents benefits, public safety, protection, and I'd like to say roads, but that's not not in our area of concern. It's an area of concern, but it's not in our area of taking care of that issue. So I would think that every time we sit down at this table, that we should do that. Every action should be to the benefit of our residents, and we can work flex people. But I can tell you that there's many people, housewives, whatever, would be happy to have a job making 24 or 28 hours a week, especially if their husbands are working or whatever. And we need to look at it from a business point of view. We are a business in the public arena. And I can tell you, to my concern, we waste a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer Bud spoke, and then Martin.
I would just like to say that I think we are doing justice to the budgets. We're doing justice to the residents because he runs his clerk's office and he needs somebody because of the intricacy of elections, the need to be always on sharp, always right there. It's hard to bring in part-time people who are looking for jobs because they don't stick with it, because they are looking for full-time jobs and they're moving on. So this gives him the possibility to have a temporary full-time person who is there, who is trained so that they can do all of the jobs that are necessary in the clerk's office. And I think he is very prudent in what he has decided to do, to run his office.
Trustee Martin.
I appreciate that.
I just did a little math, and you say that you could hire 2 part-time employees at 29 hours per week. So those 2 employees would put in 58 hours a week in time versus the full-time temporary, which work 40 hours per week. Say it's an 18-hour a week difference. Say they made, I'm gonna just throw a number out, $10 an hour. That would come out to $9,360 versus the $6,000 per year that you would pay for in lieu of.
Thank you, sir.
I believe that this is the most economical way to go.
Through the chair,
Yes, okay.
I would like to
second
make a
call.
motion.
Actually, the motion's already been,
No,
I have a
there wasn't a motion made.
I
oh
haven't had a
my, I'm
chance
sorry,
to-
I did not.
Reggie, Trustee Miller didn't have a chance to say anything.
Trust,
I did the first time, but on the
Okay,
second time I
second.
didn't. Is that all right?
and that would pretty much end it for everybody except for Trustee Martin. Go
Gee,
ahead.
The pressure's on me. So, a
I only spoke
temporary,
once.
Do you want to go again?
I'm just correct, just making sure, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know
I
what
have
you
a
got.
question. So if we have summer employment, we have people that work seasonal, that's also temporary. Is it a law that we have to give this benefits? Because it says here, part-time and temporary employees are not eligible for benefits unless otherwise required by law or is otherwise provided. So explain that. That's kind of confusing here.
Well, the part-time people don't get the benefits. The seasonal that you're referring to is typically in Parks and Rec, and they work under the hours, and it's probably I probably hire about 15 to 16 individuals a summer. So they all fluctuate to make sure that Parks and Rec has coverage. They will not be eligible for benefits. The temporary person that's listed in there is not required to get benefits under ACA because typically they're coming through a temporary service. The temporary service pays for their benefits. Yes.
Okay, so this person, though, this temporary in the clerk's office is full-time, correct?
Yes.
40 hours.
Yes.
So 40 hours versus 2 split, I understand where Trustee Martin's going here. How many temporaries have we had in over a year, say a year span?
I was one of them.
Okay,
I came in as a temporary full-time person for the clerk during elections. We had a couple of temp people that came through the temp agency, and he's
A couple of
had 2
interns.
additional ones. last year, this year. And that's
Alright.
just in the time frame I've been here.
We had an intern.
2 interns.
And interns are considered,
They were temporary
They were
full-time.
20 hours or so.
right, but this is a full-time person.
Yes.
Regardless if they're full or temporary or not. So my other question is there a probationary period that they have to be before, that they have to achieve in order to get, like 90 days like most?
They don't
No,
get,
no, okay.
they're not to be a part, they don't get to be a part of the union. They're not a union.
The rule for non-union.
Certain benefits they don't get. The only thing they are eligible is for health, is
Health
healthcare.
insurance, health and dental. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Treasurer Bud, could you?
I would make a motion that we approve the update to section 30.1, eligibility of benefits and policies and procedures manual.
With that,
Clerk
and
Wright?
with that support, I would just like to say, all due respect to you, Trustee White, by telling me what you did in your past, and I'm sure you did it well. I've also come from a business background, which I think I can say the same, but I don't compare it with this job. It's totally different. I respect what everyone says when we're in budget hearing, and I respect your comments. But I also want you to respect me that I have the wherewithal to run my department, and I do run it fiscally responsible. I would challenge any of you to look at the history of the clerk's office, the clerks, elections, office supplies, any one that I'm in charge of is streamlined, is very efficient, is innovative, and we work with each other to make sure that it stays that way. I do not waste money. I'm very aware that I spend taxpayers' money, and I don't waste it. I spend it very efficiently. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you, Leon, or Clerk Wright, I'm sorry. And,
You've already gone through two.
but I
30
understand
seconds,
that,
okay?
and this was
He's on
not
his
meant
third
to be a
time.
personal attack against you. And
30 seconds.
And
Hold on.
it's not a personal attack against Leon. I'm only doing my job as I'm supposed to do to control the amount of money that we spend in the township.
Gone 3.
Okay, I have a motion by
one too
Treasurer
many.
Bud, supported by Clerk Wright. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay. Motion, okay. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Frazier.
Nay.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Martin?
Yes.
Trustee White? No. Treasurer Bud?
Yes.
Yes for me. Supervisor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to consider approval of Resolution 2019-23 to exempt the township from the 2011 Public Act 152. Director Sumter and Clerk Wright are giving this. I need a motion, yeah. I don't want to make that mistake again. Can I get a motion? Clerk Wright?
Through the chair. I make the motion to adopt Resolution 2019-23, annual exemption opt-out.
Okay, second?
Support.
Treasurer Bud? Nicole, Director Sumter, I'm sorry, could you take over?
Each year, the board has opted out of the Resolution 2019-23, which is 2011 Public Act 152. This is to keep us at the 10%. You can either go to the hard cap or you can do the 20%. The township has historically, again, opted out for the 10% for the employees. We do not go with the hard cap, and we don't ask our employees to pay more than 10% of their insurance every month. So you have the resolution in front of you. I am asking for you to approve the opt-out as we do each year. And with that, I will take any questions.
We have Clerk Wright, who was a person on this
Well,
one.
Thank you, Director Sumter. In 2011, when the Act 152 was enacted, it was brought to the Township Board to make a decision whether we do the hard cap, which is really exactly what it says, is a hard cap. The 80-20, you have the option to opt out. At that time, the board decided to opt out and impose a 10%. Later on, it was brought to the attention of our third-party administrator, who is IBEX. The gentleman name is Ted Supers. The treasurer and I, we met with him and talked about other initiatives, and also Director Sumter, other initiatives to save money along this arena without going to the 20%. And he brought forth a program at that time, which was HRA, Healthcare Reduction Account. That plan, what it does, it bills us for insurance based on our employees going to the, it bases us on the assumption that our employees previously not 150, let's say we have 150 employees. It's based on, we currently were paying 150 employees going to the doctor in October, which is, this is first of October. Instead of paying based on 150 employees going to the doctor in October, we actually pays on who actually goes to the hospital with a higher, or go to the doctor with a higher deductible. That deductible bring forth significant savings. Last year alone, I just got I emailed and made sure I got the results for today so we can have it. Last year, utilizing what were AmeriChoice, now we've changed to a company called EHIM, who looks like going, with the last 3 months, it's gonna bring us even more savings. Utilizing HRA and our 10% that we take from the employees, which is equates to $212,000 a year, along with the savings that we're required through the HRA, which is $390,000 a year. We observe $602,000 in savings.
How much?
$602,000. That's 2008, the fiscal year, April 2018 through March 31st, 2019. I also have the 3 months that the program's been on the EHIM, and it's on track to save us $750,000 for the next fiscal year. That's significant savings. If we backtrack and change to the 20%, let's let you make sure that you understand that you can't change to the 20% and do HRA just willy-nilly. You have to negotiate. We have unions that we do business with here. We have POC, MAF, ASME, and Command. We negotiated these HRA with these unions because not only did it save us money, it saved them money because they're paying on who actually go to the hospital versus who pay the total amount. So their deductible is cheaper too. That 10% is cheaper too. If, let's say we throw that away and we go back to what some people recommend, that we do 20%, $212,000, that's 10%. If you double that, that's 20%, right? That's $424,000. It don't take a rocket science to see that we behind the cart already. I can tell you that the union is, you go to the union, they're not gonna negotiate 20% plus HRA saving plan. That's a hard negotiation, and it has to be negotiated. We make these assumptions not thinking the whole thing out, that we do have other parties that we deal with here. And I think we have built alliance with our unions, all of them. We have a much better relationship with all our unions, and they understand. We just negotiated a issue here that a lot of communities are still toying with, that it takes years and years to negotiate it. We sit down and negotiate it with them, and we've done it, and we voted on it tonight, and it's a done deal. That's huge. Once we develop the opportunity to sit down and expand on the idea that we're not here to hurt our unions, we're here to be partners with our union. The contract is a two-way communication piece. It's not our goal to violate the contract, and we look at that likewise. We don't want them to violate our policies. And I think they're bought into that. We have a much better relationship. We are able to sit down and negotiate and what they call in good faith, and we come out with good faith initiatives, and this is one of them. That's the opt-out. That's why we're asking you to opt out to Act 152.
Okay. All right, begin. Trustee Frazier.
Just want to say, I do not agree at all with the perception that we're saving that much money. Who's paying HRA to lower our deductible? Where are they getting the money for that? That's never been explained to me. If this system is
explained
so great, you don't explain it. You just throw out some figures. I'm just saying, if this system was so great, I wonder why other townships, cities, schools don't adopt this policy.
They do.
They don't. They don't. They're still charging their employees 20%. It's okay.
Not
We're
all of them.
paying, ours are getting 10%. Good. But I don't see that it's good fiscal responsibility. I still do not see that it's good fiscal responsibility. And I think we have excellent employees and that they do a great job. But I think that most people in the business world where I come from, they pay 20% of their insurance. And I think most individuals in our township probably pay 20% of their insurance, if not more. There's a lot of people in our township that can't even afford insurance. So they're having to pay $600 a month instead of, 20%. So I just do not accept the explanation, and I'm sorry, but it doesn't wash out for me. And I'd like to have you send over who's paying HRA to lower our employees. Insurance business is a moneymaker. Insurance business is one of the largest money makers in this country, next to pharma and the oil industry. So the insurance company isn't giving away the goods for nothing. Somebody's paying somewhere. And I'm smart enough to know that, so I'm sorry. I do not accept the explanation that the clerk has given.
Can I go? Can I
Actually,
explain
no,
that again?
actually, no, we're in discussion phase right now. So,
Let me explain that again. The third party paid a higher deductible.
Who's the third party?
HIM at the current moment is EHIM.
And where are they getting the money if they're paying the higher?
Charge a higher deductible when you go to the doctor. Instead of you paying $30, you pay $10. And IHIM paid the $20 based on who actually goes to the doctor. We get billed on occurrences, not billed on every
Listen,
every person going to the doctor for that month. You
I
know, I'm
understand
gonna explain
that.
it to you.
Okay.
I don't know. That's it.
Okay.
If you
It
can't
doesn't,
understand
it
that's your
doesn't,
problem.
I don't accept it.
okay,
That's all I
okay,
want to
okay,
say.
hold on.
I don't
Okay,
accept it.
so
Water, but you can't make them drink.
does who else wants to talk here on this? Trustee Martin.
So if we went to the hard cap, what would it cost the township? Do you have any idea what it would cost the township? Is it
Actually,
a-
we
is it a
did do
great
that for the
big,
budget hearing. What was that number?
No, we did not do that for the town.
Do
We
a
have to
hard
go
cap.
through IBEX to get those numbers, and since we opt out every year, we've never had to do that.
analysis,
I
and
thought we
previously, we found that it was a significant savings to do it the way we're doing it now versus
Right.
the hard cap.
That's what we did.
So I'm saying, I'm not gonna turn my nose up at saving $600,000+ and.
Saving
Excuse me,
600
I'm
is
sorry,
two.
I'm sorry,
Measure.
Chair. Then, what was the figure that you read, Clerk Wright?
You know,
I wrote it down.
it's, we're saving $390,000 through the HRA and $212,000 through the 10% copay.
So total, that's,
$2,000. That's the last year. This year we're on track to with the two to occur the savings of $750,000. That's paperwork. I can run this off. I can put it and send it to you. Maybe you can read
do.
better than you can
Please
understand.
do.
But I can send it to you and you can look at it that way.
Okay, all right. All right, hold on. Trustee Martin has the floor still, and everybody's been stepping all over him, and I gotta start saying things.
And don't
okay?
hate me. If I'm
okay,
disrespected,
Trustee
I'm gonna
Martin?
be. I'm not. I can be disrespectful.
Trustee Martin?
I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna turn my nose up at these significant savings. That's, you talk about fiscal responsibility, we're the fiduciaries and all of that. I think this is a prime example of us doing our job and us saving the township money. I think Clerk Wright has done a great job in bringing this forward.
He has.
And
It's just me. I'm not gonna take this. This was not. It was Clerk Wright, Treasurer Bud, and HR Director who did these negotiations. Clerk Wright didn't do this by herself.
Well,
I'm just doing this thing.
I'm saying,
We gotta go round once, okay? All right.
we've worked together to come up with these savings are significant, and I appreciate all of your hard work and effort. And I don't know what's hard to understand about saving this much money.
Trustee Miller?
Okay, so here's the problem with this whole thing. When you have an overloaded agenda like we did, and sometimes that happens, it does. We had a canceled meeting, we had a township under construction. But when you put items on the agenda such as this, and it is significantly important, and you don't get enough time to look at it, to get with the clerk, to get your questions answered, you're throwing around figures of 150 employees and significant savings of over 600,000, then you got questions and it becomes a discussion which turns into a heated debate. That's problematic. Now, I understand some of it, but some of it I don't. And I would like to fully support it one way or another. And some of it I get, but some of it I just don't, because we have to explain it to the public. Look, a lot of places you're paying 20%. In the corporate world, if you work outside the township, you are, and you have those deductibles, and you have those yearly expenses, and you have to pay $60 to see a doctor, to go to a doctor and pay for added benefits. You have to buy those in addition to paying the 20%. So I would like to a real clear vision on this, and I think you do too, to fully support it one way or another and put it to rest once and for all. So I would like to postpone this, get with you in the next couple of weeks until our next board meeting, and then bring it back, and then we'll have our answers. And I'm not saying you haven't done that, but to the degree that I feel we need, I think we should postpone this.
Okay, hold on. Okay, before anybody does anything for a second here, okay? Let me ask a few questions, okay? And then we'll move forward with it, wherever you want to go. Number one, we have time to do this, correct?
We do have time.
Number two, this isn't going to jeopardize any union negotiation by us not passing this.
We've already negotiated with the union. Their contracts are closed.
Okay, so there's nothing that's going to badly happen if we move this thing to the next meeting. Okay, you wanted to make a motion, I believe.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this until our next meeting, but in the meantime, get your questions to the clerk, meet with him, reach out.
A motion,
I will.
a motion for postponement is non-debatable and immediately goes to a vote. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, so roll call.
Start on this side. Trustee White,
Postponed.
Trustee Martin,
Proceed.
Trustee Miller,
Postpone.
Trustee Frazier. Treasurer Bud.
I don't think it needs to be postponed. This is an item that we have faced every year for the last few years since we started. I don't understand why all of a sudden nobody understands what's happening, so I don't think it's necessary.
We've done this thing every single year. We've had this description every year.
Obviously not to the satisfaction of
If you
board,
guys want to have a
of board
workshop on it,
members.
you can.
Board's decision either way, but
We'll do it.
Oh, I'd like to move forward with today.
I'd like to
I
ask,
vote no to and like to move forward. And with that,
I'd like to ask trustee Martin.
Hold on.
Before
Moving
that,
forward,
I think the main thing is that Treasurer Bud brought to my attention this morning also. It's more than just we do this every year, and we do this every year, but we do negotiation every 4 years. And when we do negotiation, I know we sent out a memo saying, is there anything that you would like to be brought to the negotiation that fits your interest? And we didn't receive anything. That's when this is supposed to be brought forth. You don't bring forth this in the middle of a contract. You bring this forth at the beginning of negotiations. We get nothing, and then we get all of this chatter during the year and coming up to whatever election year or whatever, that everything need to be changed all of a sudden. We're not being fiscally responsible. And I'm showing you the numbers here. I don't understand what the numbers
Telling us the
vary from.
numbers.
We-
Telling us the numbers.
I've
We've
given you
never,
this. I've
we've
given you
never
this prior.
seen the
Yes, you have.
numbers.
I've given you this before.
Yes, we have.
We haven't.
Yes, we have. I'll print it off and make sure I send it to you tomorrow.
Shouldn't be doing here.
I'll put it together
Well,
again
I'm
and make
sure
sure I send
the
it to you
General
tomorrow.
Motors and the UAW would be very, very interested in this plan.
Okay, what?
Negotiate it.
Yes, we'll move.
Martin,
Okay,
you should
hold on
bring
a
it to
second.
GM.
Hold on, okay. You guys can have a workshop on this if you want one. I don't mind. We've done it before. We can do it again, and we can do it again until everybody understands it. At this point in time, I heard somebody, I thought, say, call the question. Did I
said
hear
call
that?
the question.
All right, I heard a call the question, so call the question
Make
is
a motion to call the
non-debatable.
question.
All in favor of calling the question? Aye. Opposed? The question is called. We have a motion by Clerk Wright. It is supported by Treasurer Bud to consider approval of Resolution 2019-23 to exempt the township from 2011 Public Act 152. All in favor?
We had a motion
already
by
did
Miller
it.
to call the
It
question.
passed. It passed.
When did it pass? No. You got to do the vote now. It did not pass. What passed before was the postponement.
But the postponement did
failed.
not pass.
Postponement failed. The call the question passed. You have not
That
voted
motion
on this
failed.
yet.
The postponement failed. We did not vote on this.
Okay,
All
let's
right,
vote.
so again, I have a
to vote on
motion by
this.
Clerk Wright, and supported by Treasurer Bud. All in favor of line item number 10, which is exempt the township for 2011 Public Act 152. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call.
And we've done this just previously.
No, we
But I'll do it again.
Okay.
Yes, we did. Trustee White. Trustee Frazier. Trustee Frazier.
No,
Trustee Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
No.
Treasurer Bud.
Yes.
Yes for me.
Yes.
Supervisor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Next item, reports. We have none. Next item after that, public comment for non-agenda items. Is anybody from the public wishing to speak? I don't know.
I'm the union president for the POLC, the Police and Dispatchers Union. Just a few things. Me, Treasurer Bud, Clerk Wright, we work tirelessly to be fiscally responsible. They are the hardest people to negotiate with. But at the very end of the day, they do what's in the best interest
Yeah.
for the
Wait a minute,
township.
But you say something to me, but that's disrespectful, and I'm gonna call it out. Every time it's
Well, I
happening,
think
it's
you're-
disrespectful for you to disrespect
I
somebody
think
like
you're
that.
interrupting
Okay,
our
let's
speaker.
get through this, okay?
So I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to the members that did vote to opt out and not change the contracts. That's one reason I was here tonight, to observe and report back to my membership what the result was. But ultimately, I also want to thank the negotiation team that works tirelessly with us to make sure that we are fiscally responsible in the Public Safety Department. We don't always get what we want. It's a hard negotiation, but ultimately, I will say I'm very proud of the board for being fiscally responsible. And so I did want to thank the members on the board for doing the debate, but ultimately coming to this conclusion. Thank you, board.
Thank you very much.
The chair, if I may? Yes. It wasn't to support 20% or 10%.
No,
My
it
My
wasn't.
standing was to postpone it so that
Yes.
everyone had a better understanding of this.
Understanding of it.
Can you, oh, forget it.
appreciate it. I mean,
It
we-
wasn't 20
we-
or 10
you know,
that we
put together
voted on.
And, you know, as well, I don't take away from anybody on this board. This is not the time to do that. What I say is thank you, but I think when I keep hearing the community saying we're not fiscally responsible, we're not fiscally responsible, we're extremely fiscally responsible. And even going forward with a negotiate item with healthcare, we're also going to take some concessions and show the township through our union and working with our board that we are fiscally responsible, that we do stand behind our board, that we want to make sure our residents pay the least amount that they could possibly pay and get the job done. And so ultimately, it just, you know, I'm a resident as well of this township. And so they continuously hear we're not fiscally responsible. We're making all these decisions to be fiscally responsible. It does hurt at times. But trust me, you and I have worked together on many things, and I respect you as a board member. But I do thank the negotiation team, and I think every last member that voted yes to opt out of this tonight. Thank you.
I respect this
Thank you.
board's decision. I absolutely respect your decision. I'm not saying that this person is fiscally responsible, this person is not. I'm saying I am.
And
All
I
right,
just,
we are
yes.
into,
I'd just like
into
to
board
say-
comments. If
Yeah.
you would like to take your board comment now, you're welcome to.
I was voting tonight to get further information that I would like to understand this in writing. And that's what I was voting on. I wasn't voting on 10 or 20%. So that's misconstrued if it is.
Okay. Does anybody else wish to speak?
I'm not.
Okay.
So let's-
Very good. Can I get a motion for
I'll
adjournment?
make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Have a second?
Support.
Hearing nobody else, it's adjourned.
So you know.
Let's